All right, listen up. I'm Charlie, chess master. And this little fuzzball right here is Jesse.
Hi, I'm Jesse. I like bones, long walks, and, losing at chess.
Exactly. My mission today? To teach Jesse the Ruy Lopez one of the greatest chess openings ever. If he can learn it, trust me, you have no excuse.
Wait, is that Spanish for roasted leg of chicken?
No, but thanks for confirming we're starting from zero. Let's begin. So the Ruy Lopez starts with pawn to e4. We take the center and attack the f5 and d5 squares. Strong start.
Nice, aggressive and bold, just like me when I chase squirrels.
Then black plays pawn to e5, stopping us from pushing pawn to d4 freely. Next up, knight to f3, attacking the pawn on e5 and also supporting the d4 push.
Oh, so we're going straight for the pawn buffet?
We're threatening the buffet. Strategy, Jesse. Black replies with knight to c6, defending the pawn and stopping d4. Now here comes the big move. Bishop to b5. Boom. You're officially in Ruy Lopez territory.
Yes, I knew it. Wait, no, I didn't. What does the bishop do again?
It targets the knight on ce6, which defends e5. So we're indirectly threatening that pawn. Pretty clever, huh? Now, black has choices. One of the most popular replies is pawn to a 6, challenging that bishop. We calmly drop back to bishop to a 4, keeping pressure on the knight.
Whoa, stealth mode. I like it.
Exactly. From here, if black plays knight to f6, we castle kingside for safety.
Wait, already? We just got here.
King safety first, Jesse. Always. Now, if they try taking our pawn with knight takes a 4, we respond with rook to e1, pressuring the knight and the e5 pawn. But let's say they keep it simple with bishop to e7. Then we go rook to e1, and they push pawn to b5, attacking our bishop. We slide back to bishop to b3, then black castles kingside, and we play pawn to c3, prepping for our dream move.
Let me guess, pawn to d4?
Hey, look at you. One neuron activated.
I try my best.
Black plays pawn to d6, and then we play a sneaky but important move. Pawn to h3. Stops annoying pins, gives the king some breathing room, and lets us say, we're ready. Now, let's talk strategy. Plan A. Pawn to d4. Control the center. Plan B. A classy knight maneuver. From b1 to d2, then f1, and finally g3. From g3, the knight joins the attack party.
Whoa. You want me to walk all the way around just to get to g3?
Yup, it's called positioning, not chaos. Leave chaos to your chew toys. Black has plans too. They might reroute their knight on c6 to get the c-pawn moving. Maybe play pawn to c5, or go for pawn to d5 to strike the center. There are two major branching paths for black here. First, the Briar variation. They play knight to b8, yes, backward, to reposition it to d7, defending pawn to e5 and preparing pawn to c5 or pawn to d5.
So, yay, backwards to go forward?
You would like chaos. Anyway, these are the main paths from here. This exact position after pawn to h3? Chess logic, Jesse. You'll get used to it. Second, the Chigorin variation. They play knight to a5, going after the bishop on b3. We drop back to bishop to c2, and black plays pawn to c5, gaining space and time.
Yeah, I like that one. It feels spicy.
It shows up in tons of grandmaster games. They play these moves so fast it's like muscle memory.
But, Charlie, what if they don't play all that? What if they go rogue?
Ah, I was hoping you'd ask. That's where the fun begins. Traps, tactics, and spicy mistakes. Let's dive into those right now. All right, Jesse. Now that we've built the house, it's time to check for trapdoors.
Trapdoors? Should I get my helmet?
No need, buddy. But if you're not careful, your king might need one. Let's talk about common mistakes, sneaky traps, and some spicy tactics in the Ruy Lopez. So let's rewind just a little. After we play bishop to b5, a lot of players panic and play pawn to a 6, and then pawn to d6.
Double pawns, double danger?
Not quite, but they're walking into our plans. So we castle kingside, and they follow up with pawn to b5, kicking our bishop to b3. Now here's something weirdly common. They go bishop to g4, pinning our knight.
Oh no, they're attacking my horsey?
It's a knight, Jesse. And yes, it looks like pressure, but we've got a trick up our sleeve. We play pawn to h3 and ask their bishop, "You sure about this?" If they take our knight, fine. We play queen to f3. But in most games, the bishop just runs away after h3, trying to keep the pin alive. And that's when we hit him with a shocker. Knight takes pawn on a 5.
What? You gave them the queen!
Patience, Jesse. It's called a sacrifice. If they take the queen with bishop takes queen, we reply with bishop takes pawn on f7. Check. The king only has one square. King to a 7. Then we play knight takes knight on ce6. Boom! Royal fork. And after king takes bishop on f7, you follow up with knight takes queen on d8. Check. They try to recover with rook takes d8, but you clean up with rook takes d1.
Wait, we traded a queen for a fork and came out ahead? I want to try this in bullet.
You'll blunder your king in 3 moves. Let's stay focused. Now, let's say your opponent doesn't fall for the pin and plays a solid move instead, like knight to f6. We can go quiet with pawn to c3, then pawn to d4, but sometimes they get greedy and take the pawn on a 4.
Stealing my pawn? Rude.
So rude. Now, most players expect rook to e1, but instead, bishop to d5. That bishop hits everything along the diagonal.
Diagonal doom.
Exactly. You're attacking too many things. It's like giving them a headache with one bishop. Another spicy line. We go knight to g5, threatening pawn on f7. If they respond with pawn to d5, and then recapture with the knight, it looks safe. But guess what?
Bill, we sack again.
You bet we do. Knight takes f7. Boom. Then queen to f3, applying pressure. If the king runs back, we follow with bishop takes d5, attacking the knight and the rook. If they try knight to d4 to counterattack, we ignore it and go queen to h5, threatening everything.
It's like Christmas, but with less cookies and more crushed dreams.
Exactly. Chess mess. Let's talk about something a bit more sneaky. Imagine your opponent plays pawn to d6 early, thinking it's solid. Now we strike with pawn to d4, opening the center. They capture, we recapture with our knight, and pressure starts building. They might start trading pieces to calm things down. But after a few trades, if they play knight to f6, guess what?
Wait, we hit him with pawn to a 5, don't we?
Look at you, Jesse. You've been paying attention. Pawn to a 5, attacking everything. And if they take the pawn, queen takes a 5 is a double attack on the king and pawn to c7. Next move, knight to c7, check. Win the rook. Say, thanks.
I am thriving right now.
All right, Jesse. That was the Ruy Lopez. Traps, tactics, center control, spicy forks, and a whole lot of running around with your knight.
That was awesome. I feel like I could beat Magnus now.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You still confuse bishops with birds.
Well, they fly across the board.
Size. Anyway, here's the thing about the Ruy Lopez. It's not just a strong opening. It teaches you how to play real chess. You learn development. You learn center control. You learn patience. But now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever used the Ruy Lopez? Have you ever trapped someone with that bishop to f7 sacrifice? Or maybe you got trapped yourself and rage quit the app. Be honest. You learn how not to blunder your queen on move 6.
That happened one time.
Today, anyway, study this opening, review your games, and you'll get stronger fast. And if you can remember even half of what we did today,
You'll be at least a Jesse-level genius.
that's not as comforting as you think.
It's okay. Charlie cries too sometimes.
Only when someone plays London System. So drop your favorite moments in the comments. And tell us what opening you want us to cover next.
Can we do one where I get to sacrifice the queen again?
We'll see, but only if you don't sacrifice my patience first. All right, that's it for today. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and
Hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode of Chess with Charlie and Jesse.
wow, you actually got that right.
I had it written on my paw.
Of course you did. See you in the next one, folks.
Woof.